Good evening, Odie Hawkins.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
I guess you are.
Yeah, you got that right.
Is it a moment in time?
Yes, another movement in time, or another moment?
Moment
in time.
A moment in time. I'm going to come join you for this moment in time.
Hey, let me say this.
Yes, sir.
Right at the beginning of this moment in time.
Yes, sir.
I certainly loved it. But it's Indian, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I love the mirror work. You know.
Oh, it's really cute. It's really cute.
Thank you. You got it for me.
Oh, I did.
Yes, you did.
Oh, wow. What good taste I have.
You certainly did. You picked me.
That is good taste indeed.
Well, what are we talking about today?
We sang, sort of got off yesterday, the last time, on being in the army, and I would like to say it seems to be entirely appropriate on this particular Memorial Day to come back to this particular subject. I think especially because I have a, what you might say, a unique stance on it.
Yes, yes.
And it's two things. It's a confluence of several things happening. Memorial Day, I'm going to get to that guy in a minute. And the fact that this particular thing, I'll introduce you later.
New York Times, okay. When Leslie Benningfield Randall was 6 years old, a white mob destroyed her community and killed hundreds of her neighbors. A century after the Tulsa Massacre, what does justice look like?
What struck me, I mean, obviously she has a wig on, which makes her look very much like a Navajo woman to me, or as they call her, the Navajo Dine.
Okay.
But you know, I was just looking at her, and I saw so much pain and so much anguish in having come through that, and it made me think a lot about what I went through in the U.S. Army, and that's where I'll start. That's where I'll start.
And you know, and I think right now they're just talking about the fact that soldiers that end up having depression,
post-traumatic stress disorder.
Post-traumatic stress disorder. You know, you can see when an injury is on the outside, but you can't see when the injury is on the inside. You know, like, you know, good friends of ours who can't even look at an emblem of the military without stressing out.
Right.
Okay, because of the trauma and how they were treated by fellow soldiers.
Well, coming to that point, I'm taking us back to 1992.
1992?
62.
1962, yes.
That's post-traumatic stress disorder.
1962.
That's him.
That's him.
It wasn't me. This is me. That was him.
That was him.
That was him. I'm glad you found this picture, otherwise I would never have been able to recognize myself.
I understand.
What happened, and this is what was happening at that time, there's something else that acts as sort of like a little prong to get me to do this. There's a book that I read not too long ago by a writer named Vladimir Nabokov.
What was it again?
Vladimir Nabokov.
Okay.
Most people know him as the writer who wrote Lolita.
Okay.
But he also wrote a number of very interesting novels. One of them was called Speak, Memory. Speak, Memory. Nabokov was a Russian immigrant to this country, and he originally wrote in Russian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And when he came here, he learned English in such a way that is so fantastic that, you know, reading one of his books is like reading a crazy kind of encyclopedia, because he learned words and things that...
fell in love with the language.
Love of the language.
Right.
I mentioned Speak Memory because it sort of enticed me to come up to what we're talking about.
Okay.
And when I last broke off with you, I had been drafted 1962. Now, I mean, I'm talking about like eons ago.
Yes.
1962.
Yes, it seems like eons ago when we think about it like that. Yeah.
Well, the combination of things, the confluence of things means that you really can't speak about your memory until you develop one. You know, and sometimes when I wrote my autobiography when I was maybe 40-some years old, 30, and I look at it, and it's a terrible piece of work because I hadn't even developed a memory.
Right.
What could I write about?
Right. Yes.
But I wanted to write about somebody named me, so I did it. 1962. I was being in trouble by the draft board in Chicago. They were sending me threatening letters. Come here, we want to see you. And I had no intention of volunteering for the Army because I was a little bit at war with the society we lived in.
Well, let's see here. Let's start from, your mother was how old, your father was how old when you were born?
My mother was 16, my father was 18.
Right. And you lived in a fine mansion of a place.
Oh, no. No, as a matter of fact, we didn't. As a matter of fact, my father was being domiciled in a rec room called the Statesville Penitentiary.
Oh, well, interesting rec room.
Yes.
Okay.
And
for 5 years, I believe.
5 years and 8 months. Don't forget the 8 months.
Okay.
He had a chance to be paroled, as I understand it, and said no, because he didn't want to have to report to some probation officer once a week.
So this is the morals and attitude that was well instilled upon you when it was time to be drafted.
I have to think that.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, my mother was obviously a rebel. She really was too young to have children, but fortunately they got married. I saw the birth certificate. I mean, I saw the marriage license. I thought for a long while I was, like a stray child.
Yes.
But no, he was 18, she was 16. They got married, and the rest was happily ever after.
Yeah.
But that's another story.
Right.
In 1962, I was 24 years old, something like that. They weren't drafting people 24. They were drafting 18-year-old, 19-year-old.
Right. You just happened to fall in the crack.
I don't know why. I mean, I looked up and I'm getting these letters. So a couple of friends of mine who, pretty hip people, they say, hey, man, I was working at the post office. What you should do, get a leave of absence, get out of the state for a while, maybe a year or so, and you'll be too high up. You'll be too old to be drafted. Okay. So I did that. I got I think a 3-month leave of absence for some reason. I can't remember what it was. And a friend of mine lived in California, so I came here, California. I came to L.A.
Great escape. The great escape.
I thought, my friend said, he had been he had been a volunteer, but he was my friend from Chicago. So he said, okay, you can hang out here, no problem. I was here about 3 weeks. Now, to tell you how idiotic I was, what would make me think, as a postal employee, that they could not follow my trail to Los Angeles?
One government agency saying, hey, do you know what happened to this guy?
He's going to California now. He's in California. He's in California. I was here about, 3-4 weeks. And they sent me the letter. By now, it was not a warm invitation or a friendly.
It was get your ass down here.
Bring a pair of underwear and a toothbrush to, I think it was 9th and Figueroa somewhere. Yeah. And that was the beginning of a terrible misadventure. Number one, I have to confess, I didn't have a patriotic bone in my body.
I understand.
I was, like I said, I was sort of semi-war with the society we were living in, because remember, 1962, we were still fighting to vote.
Right.
Just like we're doing now.
Yes.
And, you know, history does repeat itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't run away to Sweden. I didn't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
Czechoslovakia was too far away.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't bicycle to Mexico.
Right. What else was going on in the world in '62?
Mainly for me, it was civil rights issues.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And prejudice and, you know, people being shot in the home, just the way they're being, well, they're not being hung so much today as they're being shot.
Right.
That was a regular thing.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from Chicago, I knew a whole lot about police brutality and malfeasance.
Yeah, there was a cop that you spoken of more than once in Chicago.
I had every reason to, because they kicked me in the ass a few times.
Okay.
I mean, physically.
Yeah.
So I had some...
This is when you were a child.
Well,
yeah.
There are no black children
in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Okay.
They lie all the time and they say, I'm a kid, I'm a kid. But no, this way the police saw it. If you were walking and you could look back at them, that meant that you were an adult, it seemed. Mm-hmm. The policeman who caught me hustling groceries one day, you know, you go to the supermarket with your little wagon. I was 12. Mm-hmm. I wanted to make some money. Mm-hmm. And you ask the lady, you know, hey lady, can I take your groceries home? She piles her groceries in your little cart and you pull them along 15 blocks and she gives you 20 cents.
Yes.
On this particular day, I was doing that very thing. Lady, can I carry your groceries? And all the people around me suddenly froze, you know. And I felt this really terrible pain in my crack. This cop, his name was Sylvester Washington. His name was Sylvester Washington. Mm-hmm. He was a black policeman who was a neurotic all the way. Mm-hmm. He had kicked me in my ass. Yeah. And
while you were trying to do an errand. Right.
His thing was rule of law, and he was the law. And he said, I don't want to see you little niggers, just the policeman, you know, out here harassing people. And the ladies, oh, officer, I was hurt so bad. All I could do was just hate. You know, I mean, I couldn't do anything. I limped away. And then, you know, all the times when you found yourself walking around somewhere, going somewhere, and policeman shines a light on you and tells you get down. You know, the first thing you have to do is humiliate yourself, otherwise you wind up getting your ass kicked, and that helped a lot. You know, I had a policeman slap me in the back of my head so hard one day. I think he had a billy club in his hand because a lump came on my head, and I thought he didn't slap me. Yeah, he had a club, a little billy. You ever seen it?
Yeah, right. Look like it's intense.
So, you know, just all that.
These are the circumstances in which you were coming into the United States Army. Yeah.
Being drafted to come and serve my country, which will not allow me the freedom to vote. Okay, there's a contradiction there, so I'm coping with it. I was 24. The average red draftee was 19, 20. And in most cases, they were people who had not had very much experience in life. You know, I mean, I had been there and done that and so forth. I came in there, I think, I told you, with a dexedrine habit. Yeah. You know, I was coming from the set that we all came from at the time, which was being smoking and drinking and staying out late at night and having a wonderful time.
Wonderful time, yes.
That's what we thought we were having.
That's what it is.
Okay. I'm thinking, you know, I'm going to look at this as positively as I can.
Right. Because I'm stuck here. Might as well.
I can see maybe some advantage. Maybe I get a chance to have a good night's sleep. But before that, I went in there. Being drafted from L.A. meant going to Fort Ord, California. Okay. The Monterey Peninsula. Right. It's gorgeous.
And you thought that California itself was gorgeous, But then you have the opportunity,
to go north.
Fortune to go north.
Well, you know, if you come from a place like Chicago with all that rain and snow and cold, and
cement.
And in the summertime, you know, it's a tight city. Here, when I first came, you know, California, I got lost so often on the freeways. I just began to expect it. You know, going from we live in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Between me going from Long Beach to, let's say, to downtown L.A., I could take the wrong freeway and wind up in Sacramento. You know, in 5, the way you do. So I was just beginning to get used to that. And, okay, I'm drafted, Fort Ord. 6 weeks, 8 weeks of basic training. Now, it just so happened with these Dexies,
yes,
I was perfectly in tune with basic
activity.
Any activity. I was wired up.
Let me keep on the move, all right?
I mean, you know.
Although I can't sit down, I can't sit down.
Good, healthy activity. I mean, I hated the idea of getting up to go do anything at 7 o'clock in the morning, at 6:30. But at the same time, I was hardly going to sleep at 6:30. I did it. I did it.
Yeah.
8 weeks. I learned how to fire a rifle. I didn't know that before. I knew how to fire a pistol, just aim and shoot. I was in some union with a bunch of people from all kinds of places. We had several Japanese guys who were trying to get their citizenship by going into the army. You could do that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They had several people doing that. They were going through.
In fact, they just had a commercial on the radio about people who didn't have citizenship and who have died in the war.
Oh,
okay, and then a man who fought successfully in Iraq, Afghanistan, he got a notice in June that he's subject for deportation, and he's only known America.
Yeah.
But his thing was he joined the army to become a citizen because he believes in the country.
Okay. Well, believe me, there were a whole lot more of them in 1962. The volunteer thing is maybe a calculated political risk, so to speak, because you don't always have the right outcome.
Right.
Recently, Mexican American's officer, his mother was deported under what's his name, the other guy.
Right. Okay.
And Biden brought the mother back. You know, I mean, one of those stories. Anyway, after 8 weeks, they make determinations, and I don't know how this happens. Maybe you can tell me, because you have an insight into the bureaucratic mind. After 8 weeks, after having taken a series of tests, I don't know what the tests were because I never passed any tests.
Well, apparently you passed those. Go ahead.
Somehow. They determined that I would make good quartermaster material.
Oh, really? Okay. And the quartermaster does what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I still don't know. Well, I mean,
Come on.
I almost knew at the time.
All right.
They said, because I had almost a year in junior college, they said that I was an educated guy.
It's also because you read books, and you always read.
Well, they didn't care about that. All they knew was what was on the record.
Okay.
College, Wilson Junior College,
okay.
a year.
Okay.
I dropped out after a year. I couldn't take it anymore. And, well, quartermaster meant that you could go into the supply room, and you were one of the clerks behind the counter. They have what they call a warrant officer who's in charge of the whole operation. But you and maybe 2 or 3 other guys would be in the supply room, and people would requisition things, and you signed it out. You know, you need 10 tent poles for units, so and so, so and so.
Okay.
It's clerical work.
Right. Okay.
So, okay, but in order to do that, this is the bureaucracy working, right?
Right.
In order to do that, what you would have to do is go to Fort Lee, Virginia, to learn how to build boxes.
Ooh. Okay.
For 2 weeks.
Okay.
Why would I have to go
to learn how to build
Fort
boxes?
Virginia? I would not.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even hammer. I couldn't even saw. I never. So we get on a train.
Mm-hmm.
I had never been down south, other than southern Illinois, which is about far south as I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
My people, of course, from the south.
Mm-hmm.
Mama's side is from Arkansas, daddy's side is from Mississippi. So, you know, I'm southern infused, but I wasn't southern born.
Gotcha.
We get to Fort Lee, Virginia, named incidentally after Robert E. Lee. How about that, huh?
Okay.
I'm in the American Army, first of all, and I'm beginning to get a little Fort Ord. I could coach. I don't know who Fort Ord was named after, but it was named after a Confederate general,
right.
A traitor to the country. And at Fort Lee, Virginia, they had this organization. Nice setup. We lived in barracks, like dormitories.
Okay.
I think maybe 500 or 600 of us. A lot of guys, Puerto Rican guys from New York. And I'm making that point because we had something going on, which I'll get to in a minute.
Okay.
You had to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning, do the normal routine, the marching. I said 2 weeks. Actually, it was 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks. Do the marching, do the this and that. You were, in the army now.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the army now. The sergeants were regular army people, and they hated us. They really did. One black guy whose name happened to be Brown.
Okay. Sergeant Brown.
Sergeant Brown had a special hatred going for me, the Pillars, Small, Rodriguez, and several other people. We were his special hate people.
Why?
Well, he hated me because I would walk around with a Machiavelli in the back pocket of my uniform, of my fatigues. So take that off. What is that? It's a book. You ever seen it? You ever seen a book? I'm going to have you doing push-ups until you drop dead.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
and then I'll sue you. Do you know that I'm Sergeant Brown? Ah, that's unfortunate. Can you imagine?
No.
But he was outnumbered. He was outnumbered. The Puerto Rican guys he didn't like because to him, they weren't really Americans. They were,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was the white guys who were sergeants didn't like us as a group because we were anti-army, as far as they were concerned.
You have been pulled off of your corner.
Pulled off my corner, where I was having a wonderful time.
Yes, indeed. Had guys on some little miss.
Hey,
okay.
What are you gonna do?
I know.
What are you gonna do?
Okay.
Murray, the Pillars was one of my friends from Chicago, but the guy we call Smalls was from East St. Louis, and he was like something out of a Walter Moulton novel.
Really?
Yeah, he was really dangerous. I think he was really a criminal waiting to be, because he wanted to kill somebody. He was.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, we're in this barrack together. For example.
Okay.
I had a little recording machine, that played. Miles Davis had just come out with Sketches of Spain and all of that, right?
All right.
Or was it something else? Anyway, it was jazz. And I started my morning off the minute I went over the side of the
Yes.
The minute I went over the side of the bunk, I would put my little record player on.
Oh my.
Okay. Small dug it. The Pillars dug it, and this other guy, a young white man named Andre Elcho. Oh man, love to hear that in the morning. The rest of the people hated it, including Sergeant Brown. We couldn't do anything about him. He comes in and he says, who's playing this? I am. you know, it's not against the law. It's not. There's no rules saying you can't play jazz at 7 o'clock in the morning. 2 or 3 people actually went crazy. A young guy named Wolf, W-O-L-F-E, woke up one morning and heard it and started screaming. Ah! Ah! So what's the matter with him? I can't stand that. You can't stand Miles Davis and Birds. I couldn't wait to play it. I just played it. I think they pulled him out kicking and screaming one day or something. Anyway, Brown, the sergeant, was going to give us a bit of trouble. So we conspired to cause him a problem.
Got that. All right.
After he had threatened us,
yes.
He had said, we were going to these classes to build boxes, right?
Right.
I built a box that was shaped like the Leaning Tower of Pizza. I built another box that was, the carpenter in charge is saying, I'll be glad when you guys go, because this is ridiculous.
That's when your fascination with the hammer and nails today, huh?
Oh my God. Well, anyway,
But you're making boxes out of cardboard, right?
All of that.
Oh, okay.
All of that.
Okay.
The way we got back at Brown, after he had threatened enough of us, we decided 1 for 1, all for 1.
And you took care of the problem.
We went out and we bought some lighter fluid, you know, do spray can thing. And in the middle of the night, he had the room on the first floor, the sergeant. We went down and sprayed his door one at a time. I think it was about 20 of us. We sprayed his door with lighter fluid, and set it on fire. And went back upstairs. And about 5 minutes later, we heard somebody screaming, "They're trying to kill me, they're trying to burn me up." Of course, there was a fire extinguisher nearby, so we had a chance to put it out. The formation the next day was interesting. All right, who set my door on fire? Nobody stepped forward. We were liars, cheaters, little thugs, and he couldn't take it. Right. When we got the little exit speech, he said, I'm so glad to see you son of a bitches get out of here." Oh my. So, okay. Fast forwarding. Please. I'm thinking, oh God, I managed to go through the box building class. Now what? The night before you are giving your permit at duty station, everybody just hangs around, walk around in this box of shorts, you know, shooting pool, frat boys. Right. Meredith Pillars, Fort J, New York. He's got his permit at duty station is going to be Fort J, New York. Oh my goodness. He doesn't even have to wear a uniform. He goes to wear a uniform only when he goes onto the base. Otherwise, he's hanging out in the village and so forth and so on. Smalls got sent to somewhere or something. And I looked, and there beside my name was Fort Gordon, Georgia. Incidentally named after another Confederate general. Right, okay, so here you go. Northern boy going south. Wait a minute, what's going on? I'm going farther and farther south. This keeps up. I wound up in Mexico. There you like it, though. And I'd like it, and then everything would be all right. Get me across the Rio Grande. Anyway, I immediately started complaining. I started writing letters to everybody, including church ministers, to churches I never went to. Okay. Congressmen. I must have wrote 30 letters. And, you know, when we had the obligatory interview with the captain, whatever his name is, he says, well, you know, I'm sorry that you don't want to serve your country. I said, what do you think I've been doing? Right. What is this? Why would I have to go down to Fort Gordon, Georgia and say, that is it, private? That's what? Salute and get out of here. So, thusly, I wound up becoming a member of the 95th Civil Affairs Unit at Fort Gordon, Georgia. And I got to tell you, when people say things like, were you in combat? I always answer, yes, I was. I was. Mm-hmm. It didn't go badly after the first 10 minutes, but after the first 15, it was badly. Mm-hmm. Crazy things happen, Zola. I gotta tell you. Mm-hmm. Stop me if you've heard this.
I don't think at this moment in time I can do that.
Stop me if you've heard this.
I probably have. Go ahead.
I arrived at Fort Gordon, Georgia, 3 days too soon, something like that. And
snafu.
Snafu. You got it. SNAFU. Those who don't know the acronym will never know it.
Situation normal off. Okay.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay.
So what do? I don't know anybody in town. I just stashed my duffel bag in a locker and hung around the post. I went in empty barracks and slept. I got away with it for about 3 days.
Okay, right.
Until we wound up at that fateful day when they called the names off and you, H, you, and you, and you. So that's when I wound up in the 95th Civil Affairs Unit. I have to say, by weird circumstance, it was an elite unit. Okay. If America had gone and conquered Albania somewhere, the 95th Civil Affairs Unit and the 42nd Civil Affairs Unit would have been responsible for going into Cuba, wherever, and setting up a government, like you take over a town.
Right, for the Bay of Pigs at that time, right?
Okay. If that had happened, if they had taken over Cuba. And of course, it means you have government administration. We were going to be the people to replace the town infrastructure.
Right, okay.
The waterworks to set up. It was very interesting if it had not been in Georgia.
Right. That was if it had not been in Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I mean, we would go to classes. I was fascinated. I'm sitting, Colonel, whatever his name is, who had set up a government somewhere in Azerbaijan or somewhere, would explain what each of us would do. So-and-so would be in charge of the waterworks. Right. So-and-so would have been in charge of the garbage pickup. These civic services that we take for granted, if you don't have those things operating in a civilized society, the whole thing collapses. That was okay. We had a good Spanish class going on. I could speak a few words of Espanol.
All right.
The teacher was pleased because most of the guys, there was a unit of about 109 of us. 9 of us were black. The other 100 was from Biscuit Hills, Alabama. And, I mean, white kids.
Right.
Who were wearing their first pair of shoes. I mean, the guy who told me, who loved us, you gonna eat that? Powdered eggs? I don't eat no powdered eggs. You don't know what's good. He got a powdered egg. I'm having a miserable time doing all the stuff I have to do, but as a supply clerk in the supply room, I found opportunities that I might have missed otherwise.
I'm sure you did. As your father, you did your father and your mother proud. I'm sure you did.
Especially my father.
That's amazing that Honey never ended up in the Army.
Well, I after a while you begin to understand how certain bureaucracies work. For example, I'll give you a good example. You're responsible for government property. The guy comes into the supply room and says, hey, I had 8 tent pigs. I lost 3 of them. What can I do? I said, well, okay, I could requisition 3 tent pigs for you, but since this is considered government property that you have lost, you would be liable to pay for it. Right. I said, yeah, how much would that cost? Probably $10 a piece. $10 a piece. But I'll tell you what. You give me, what do you say, 3 pegs? Mm-hmm. Give me $9 and I'll give you the 3 pegs. Because I'm the person who keeps the inventory. Oh, wow, thanks. So, dare say I had a thriving little thing going on.
Fortunately, not as bad as Catch 21 or Catch 22.
Catch 22.
The movie.
Oh, yeah, I remember it. Alan Arkin?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all that's real. All is real. All is real. Everything is going along. Okay. I hated Augusta, Georgia. The first time I went in, at the time, and I'm sure it's still very much like that, the town had 2 sections. Broad Street was for the white people. Nice tree-lined streets with the big, the 100-foot-high statue of the Confederate soldier up there.
Right there.
Gwinnett Street, a little dirty. It was more like an alley than a street. And the bus that took us back and forth from camp, it started off from camp, and always went to the white section first to drop the white soldiers off. And then it dropped us off on the way back through. Well, that was a bad scene because those of us who were feeling the way we felt created a lot of problems. I mean, on the buses, I had a friend named Gordon Bussey. Bussey was about 240, weighed about 240, about 6'3". He said, I'm not going to stand up all the way back to camp. So we went, I'm following his lead, right?
Right.
2 white guys were sitting there, we went and sat on their laps. And the poor guys said, hey man, I understand, I'll get up and give you the seat. So no, you just stay there, you're okay. We did that. It was just nasty,
Okay. You were 19? No, you were 24.
I was 24. I mean, but
everybody else was like 19.
They were 19. 20. I was considered, because of my age, a leader in some ways. But the intelligence thing had a lot to do with it. We go on maneuvers, for example, and after that I'm going to fade out because the memory of it just sort of makes me feel a little bit crazy.
Right.
We go into maneuvers out in the forest in South Carolina, and someone says, okay, we need a radio operator. You, Hawkins.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
The little plug thing?
Yes,
I'm mechanically challenged.
You are. I know.
You all want, really? But it took me about 15 minutes to,
figure it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you do the remote?
Well,
the TV.
Who doesn't?
Okay, he does better than remote than I do. But go ahead.
Well, you got to do something.
Right.
Well, what was funny is that I had a chance to take my revenge on the Army because this was kind of like a clandestine. They couldn't trace where the call was coming from.
Oh, okay.
I found out. It was done for security reasons. Out in camp, they're trying to duplicate security procedures and so forth and so on. So I had an opportunity to tell a whole number of lieutenants and captains to kiss my ass.
Okay.
As a thing, soldier, did you get me through that? I said, hey man, I'm busy. And ding ding, come back. What is your name, rank, and serial number? So my name is Black Jack. Get back, bam. And I looked up, and of course, racism is following us all around. On the day that they said that all of the troops can go into town, the Municipal Council of Florence, South Carolina, has opened up the municipal pool for soldiers to go take a hot swim. It's 103, and the humidity is not much less than that.
Right.
All the soldiers can go but the black soldiers. This is 1962, 63. So wait a minute. A few of the white guys who, Thomas Sesky, DeSapio, I can name them.
Right.
So, no, wait a minute, we're in this together. They can't go. Things are beginning to get bad. I looked up and there's your friend, Philpott. Philpott is a big old...
Possibly a relative.
A relative named Philpott. The Philpott, yes. The Philpott tree has a lot of branches.
Yes, my grandmother's maiden name was Philpott.
Philpott. I'm sure she wasn't related to
this one.
I can't think of the first name. I never knew. But he had to be the person to get on my nerves on that particular day. And I was having a bad hair day. I mean, I really was.
I see, okay.
And the first thing he could do was, I don't know what his problem was, but I'm walking around, and he walked up behind me and, oh, nigga. And I turned and hit him in the mouth so hard, I thought I'd broken my fist. And he's a big guy, about 6 feet tall, right?
Right.
But he wasn't a fighter, he was a bully. And when he got hit, and it hurt him real bad, several of my very best good boxing friends had always warned me, people gonna try to, take advantage of you because you're a small guy.
Yeah.
But the best thing to do is hit them in the most vulnerable place first. So we actually practice testicle punches. Sometimes when you see a good boxing match,
right, yeah.
and you see the boxer get hit in the groin, it can be deliberate.
Okay.
Because the guy who's losing wants to take a break, he's tired. And if he hits him in the place, it's going to cause him, the timeout that gives him a chance to take the breath. The guy who told me, said, okay, I was aiming for Philpott's nose, because if you do this with your finger, it causes you. He went down. And when he went down, I was kicking him and so forth. Anyway, I knocked his tooth out, I'm glad to say. One or two. One, I think. Anyway, they stopped us from fighting.
Right.
And I'm sure Philpott was glad because I was trying to kill him. And from that point on, of course, Philpott became one of my
best friends.
Hawkins, how you this
man
morning?
Thing. It's got to be a man thing.
You're not in a bad temper or nothing, are you? So no, I'm not in a bad temper. Yeah. All right. Everything is going roughly along. Everybody understood that my attitude was bad.
Right.
Everybody in the 95th Civil Affairs Unit understood that I wouldn't take any shit.
Right. Missing home a lot.
I was homesick. I would go home for leave and really, really have to think hard about going back at the end of that 2 weeks or whatever it was.
Right.
But they kept telling me, good friends of mine, kept telling me, hey man, don't go AWOL because then if you get caught, you're going to have to go back and serve the bad time in addition to the rest of the time.
So you listened?
Here's what happened that took it all the way out there.
Yes.
Wow. You must be rich.
I'm married to you. Right. That's rich.
Oh, that makes you wealthy, not rich. I'm doing my usual thing, and I looked up and there's Sergeant Blackshear from Blackshear, Georgia, or is it the other way around? Caught me writing a poem. He was standing up, and I'm writing a poem. The reason he caught me writing a poem is because I told him that's what it was. Okay. He asked me, it's obviously not a letter.
Right.
What in almighty hell are you doing? Some writing a poem. Are you a damn faggot or something?
Oh, gosh.
Well,
those were special days, and yes, special time.
Special time. Do I have to be a faggot to write a poem? Oh my God. So that took me over the edge. I was fighting. I was having problems. They even had enough nerve to send me to the shrink. And that was what took it over the edge. Dr. Greenberg was a nice young Jewish kid from New York. And after the third session, I was helping him out.
Okay.
Because he was going, they think I killed Jesus, for God's sake. I didn't do that.
Okay. Poor guy.
Yeah. I'm saying, Do you know what your problem is? Yeah, I do. You know what yours is? So I don't have a clue. Give me a hand. Anyway, it reached a point where I was taken to the captain's office one day, Captain Bone Break. Mm-hmm. He said, okay, we'd like to have you volunteer to become the fireman of the unit. Mm-hmm. I had 7 months to go.
Right.
The fireman of the unit, you got 9 barracks and offices on this company street.
Right.
We want to have you keep those barracks warm, keep the hot water hot, right, and keep the office buildings cozy so that when the officers come in the morning, mm-hmm, they will have a nice warm place to go into. Mm-hmm. You know, why me?
Right.
Okay, either you take the job or we're going to find a way to put you in jail.
Okay.
I'm sorry, the stockade.
Stockade.
The
okay.
Stockade sounded like something, yeah, you defend yourself behind Indians, right, or something.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So
yeah,
I thought, well, you know, okay.
Okay.
If that's what you want.
And you became a fireman.
I made lemonade out of this.
I understand.
I could walk around in the middle of the night, all dirty and with coal dust on me and stuff.
Right.
Shoveling coal helped me out a lot because I was working out in the middle of the night. I had 24 on and 24 off. 24 on, 24 off.
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
Without your Dexies, okay.
You know.
But then you're a night person too, so yeah.
I liked that. I would wind up, mm-hmm, you know, I could hide out. I'd go up on the rooftops of the barracks, mm-hmm, look at the stars. Mm-hmm. I got away with it.
Right.
I had a lot of little things that might have got me caught. I put some ashes in a dumpster, for example.
Right, but you
the
were told
dumpster caught on fire.
But you were told to do that. So
if you understand the bureaucracy and the chain of command, I had been told by the sergeant to put all ashes in the dumpster.
Right.
And I did. And I had witnesses. And when we went in to see about it, to get my Article 15, right, and punishment, I said, Sergeant Blackshear told me to do this, and right, I did it. I followed directions, I followed order. Right. I have 3 people who were there and could witness that. Mm-hmm. The captain turns to what his name, and said, mm-hmm, did you do this? Did you tell him to do that? Mm-hmm. And he turned red as fire and said, yes, sir. You dismissed me, get out of here. Uh-huh. And before I was at the door, he was chewing on the sergeant's ass, you know, you're making me look like a fool. How dare you bring that man in and make me look like a fool, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So for 7 months, I was only supposed to be doing this for 3 months. I found out later. Okay. For 7 months, I did it. Mm-hmm. I shoveled coal. I didn't put up with any shit. Right. I defended myself. I had a shovel on my shoulder, mm-hmm, so that those who thought that they might get away with impunity by calling me a name or something, I had to be made to understand. In the middle of the night, while you're asleep up in the barracks, I would come up in there and bash your goddamn head in. I had a poker, mm-hmm, that I would bring out of the furnace from time to time, mm-hmm, that would be red hot. Yes. And I would show that around. Mm-hmm. This is me, this, mm-hmm, poker. Mm-hmm. This guy is crazy. Mm-hmm. They left me alone. Mm-hmm. I was drafted on the 24th day of January 1962. Mm-hmm. And on the 24th day of January 1964, I was released. Right. I beat the train coming back up to Chicago. And that is the story of my service. And you are quite a storyteller. Thank you very much, Odie Hawkins. You're welcome. I'm glad to get it off my chest. My God, I'm free again. Oh,
all the world's a stage with many actors in it, and I was one of the best.
I was all over it.
I know.
I was all over it.
You were one of the best. Thank you very much for this moment in time. Yeah. And we will go through another adventure from your
I don't know if you want to call it adventure. Let's call it survival now or something.
Yes, indeed. Survival now.
Thank you, and itness.
Itness to you too. Itness to you. It's right hand over left.
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay.
You too, Alfred.
Itness. All right. I hope you enjoy this moment in time. We have many adventures to share, and as well as
okay, you choose to call them adventures. I'm talking about day-to-day life. What? It's not adventure.
That's unusual. You'll find that odd to know that you have had unusual experiences.
Is that what they are?
Yeah, they're
okay.
Okay. And so there's Vulnerable Bliss, by the way, Zoom at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. I mean on Sunday, 2 o'clock on Sunday. And
Vulnerable Bliss 2 o'clock on Sunday?
No, Zoom, Tai Chi.
Oh, Zoom Tai Chi on Sunday.
That's Sunday at 2 o'clock. Right.
So what do we have on Tuesday?
Tuesday is Vulnerable.
Oh, okay. We continue the reading of Vulnerable Bliss.
Yeah.
I got you.
On the other channel.
The Spaceman.
Yes, okay. This is Moment-in-Time channel. And then the other channel.
I know. I'm just
messing with me again.
I'm just messing with you. Since you're so
Thank
nice.
you.
You're so nice. You're so nice. Thank you for having me.
I enjoy having you. Ciao. Peace.
Indeed.